Hey guys, Hardware Hound back with you in my little series of explaining why graphics cards in 2019 are terrible. And let's talk about the actual graphics cards themselves. So I touched on ray tracing and I explained why it's kind of awful and terrible and great, awful and awesome all at the same time. But now let's talk about the actual cards. So the problem is that right now we've got some pretty nice releases, right? On Nvidia's side, if you want ray tracing, you can get the RTX series, but you're going to pay pretty heavily for them. They did, though, amidst all the complaints that RTX wasn't worth it and worth the money, they released a lot of these GTX 1600 series. And then AMD came back and they released their first Navi card, their RX 5700 XT and 5700, and then Nvidia was like, oh crap, that's some good performance, good price points. And so then they started releasing the Super series, which is these minor 10% uplifts from the original GTX cards. And we're just oversaturated with all these cards that in a year's time are probably going to be absolutely obsolete. So guys, I would not buy a graphics card unless you are the kind of person who you have the money that you do a graphics card upgrade yearly. Then sure, grab one of these cards, because I think Nvidia and AMD are doing some good things. I would fully support supporting the companies. I totally want to see them succeed. But if you're like me and you're on a really tight budget, don't buy these cards. Let's talk about Nvidia first. Ray tracing. Now, like I said, it's awesome for the future. I think everybody's going to be wanting a ray tracing card eventually, but it's no stretch to say that Nvidia's first iteration of that is not all that it could be. Ray tracing is taking huge impacts on gaming performance. And let's face it, it's going to take some time to figure it out. And especially if you're doing hardware level ray tracing, first release of anything is usually like it's going to have some massive improvements by even the second generation. So we've already got the fact that by the time Nvidia releases a new card, they're probably going to have much better ray tracing anyway, which they're supposed to be releasing next year. But here's another big, huge reason why it's not worth buying all these GTX like 1660, 6060 Ti's, Super Series. Nvidia's still on the 14nm process node. Next year, they should be jumping to 7nm with their new architecture. That's not only going to have a massive leap in power efficiency, but also there's going to be architectural changes to their GPUs, which means we're probably going to see some massive performance leaps. So if you buy any of the GTX or RTX cards that released this year or even last year, you're probably going to see a massive improvement next year. It's going to make you really feel like you got shortchanged. So then maybe you should just buy an AMD card, RX 5700 XT. No, don't do that. So there is a rumor mill that says that the 5700 XT is going to get ray tracing support. Yay! Go out and buy one. Except that's going to be some kind of driver or software level thing, almost assuredly. We don't know until it actually happens, if it happens. But according to the other rumor mill, Navi 2 is going to have hardware level ray tracing support. And another thing that kind of backs up that rumor is the fact that the PS5 is supposed to have ray tracing support as well. That's all supposed to come out next year. Now, while ray tracing on a software level might work, long-term wise, it's probably going to obsolete itself really quick. You're probably going to want a hardware level ray tracing card, which you should definitely wait for next year. Second off, one of the things that AMD is saying Navi 2 is going to be is the, quote, Nvidia Killer. Now, I'll believe it when I see it, because they also have to respond to whatever Nvidia is releasing new as well. But regardless of whether it's an Nvidia Killer or not, we're probably going to see Navi 2 have a ginormous uplift from Navi. In fact, AMD has already said that Navi 2, in comparison to Navi, is going to be very similar to what Zen 2 was to Zen 1. So if you guys remember, Zen 1 included not only the Ryzen 1000 series chips, but also the slightly, revamped Ryzen 2000 series chips. But when they went to Ryzen 3000, that was when they actually got Zen 2 architecture. Seems a little confusing, I know. Number schemes can always be that way. Point is that when you look at first gen versus second gen Zen, architecturally wise, yeah, massive performance increase, awesome. If that does happen, and there's pretty good reason to suspect that's going to happen, there's going to be a huge performance uplift next year, and everything that you bought this year is going to be obsolete. So I would not touch any, if you're on a tight budget at all, or as somebody who only upgrades every 2 to 3 years, I would not touch what's come out this year. Now that being said, you might be looking at me and saying, well, Hardware Hound, my graphics card crapped out on me. I really want to get something. I would like to get some better performance, or I just got this new game and like Borderlands 3 and I'm barely getting 40 frames out of it. I got to do something. I have a solution for you guys that I think will help tide you over for a year, get you some really good performance, and save you quite a bit of money. So I'm going to put that video in the link in the description below. Don't forget to check out my first video where I talk about ray tracing in a little more detail. And I'm going to try to help you guys stay away from the cards this year for those of you who are on tight budgets, but still get some gaming performance. I'll tide you over till next year where I think we're going to see some awesome stuff, and it's going to be well worth the wait to put extra money into a nice card next year. Like and subscribe if you want to keep me going. Let me know what you think of these thoughts, and I will catch you later.